Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by a bona fide legend in the business, the one and only diehard Eddie Edwards. Welcome to Count It Out, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate that and appreciate those kind words.
I mean, look, how could we say anything but that when considering you've been with the company nearly a decade and done pretty much everything there is to do in Impact Wrestling? Tag team specialist, X Division specialist, world champion on multiple occasions, Grand Slam winner. Like, you've won the Call Your Shot gauntlet. You've done everything that I think there is to do in this company. Honestly, the biggest question I might have would be, what haven't you done yet that you want to achieve?
For me at this point, it's about taking pride in impact. All of us do on the roster. We take a lot of pride in what we're doing and, trying to build impact to that next level. I want to be, whether I'm a champion or not at the time, I want to be at the forefront of that. I want to be one of the guys that, like you said, associated with Impact, the brand. I want to be the guy that's helping promote, the one that's pushing us to get to that next level, to reach the goals that myself, that I know, and the rest of everybody on the roster and in the front office, that we all know the goals that we can reach with Impact. And together, I feel like we can all do it. And for me, that's my goal. And as far as in the ring, I'm loving it. You know what I mean? Like, I love our roster right now. It's about going out there and letting those creative juices fly. And I feel like Impact really gives myself and all of us the best opportunity for that to happen.
Well, I mean, speaking of watching the company grow, I mean, like, this has been a huge year of growth for Impact Wrestling. You guys went back to Canada earlier in the year, Australia during the summer, and now this fall, Impact's going back to the UK. Of course, you've been there before. Like I said, you've been around Impact for a while, so you were there last time they were in the UK. I mean, what has been your favorite part about traveling across the world with Impact after being grounded for so long?
Oh man, nothing makes you grateful for the fans like having to wrestle in front of no fans. You know what I mean? Like I take great pride in what we were doing in the time of the pandemic. I feel we had the best product going in wrestling at the time, but you're missing so much. And of course, anybody watching, anybody there, you can feel it when you don't have that connection with the fans. That something is missing. So when we were able to get out traveling again and go, like you said, go across the states, but also go worldwide. It's amazing to meet the fans that have been following since day one. It's amazing to meet the fans who have maybe just recently jumped on board, but it's nice to get out there within the people, see the people, and just have that reaction and that connection. Because without that, man, the stuff in the ring, it does not mean nearly as much as it does when you're in front of that crowd and they're cheering or they're booing or they're swearing at you, whatever it is. That thing is missing. So it's been unbelievable to get back out on the road. And like you said, I'm looking forward to getting back to the UK. That's where I debuted over there on one of those tours. That was the first time I showed up on TV. So myself and Davey. So I'm looking forward to being back there. It's been a long time coming, and anytime I speak to the UK fans, they were always asking, when are we coming back? And now that question is finally answered, and we are coming back.
Tell me a little bit about what it means to you personally as what many consider a locker room leader there in Impact. You've been quoted as being the heart and soul of that company for many, many years. What does that mean to you personally to see the growth and to see Impact start back on that upward trajectory as a guy who has essentially championed the brand and the company for so many years?
Yeah, it means the most to me. It's been, I've said since day one, since the first time I signed with TNA at the time, up until now. And I've gone through all these different changes, there have been different regimes and everything. And, but since day one, my whole time I've been here, I've always been treated with nothing but respect. And that's been the biggest factor for me along the way. And right now, I can feel that we're all on the same page, from the roster to the office to production to everybody involved in this project in Impact Wrestling. We all have that same goal to be able to. So for me to be able to be here, the time that I have, basically a decade, and hopefully far beyond. But to see the growth that we had, it's amazing to see, because it feels like we're on the right track. You can feel it when things are clicking and everybody's on that same page, and that's where we are right now, man. It feels great to be one of the guys that is associated with it, that wants to take it to that next level. So for us, for me, I feel like, the sky's the limit for us, and it's just the beginning, really.
It's weird because ever since you debuted in the company, there has been this aura of that Impact does things a little bit differently. In fact, that was kind of the way your debut was kind of pitched, in this idea that, well, you're this is a different place from those other guys, and you guys were the proof of the pudding, because you guys showed up there and said, no, 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 this is a place that does things differently. You talked about being on the same page as everybody. Is that kind of like the secret ingredient, do you think? Is it's the unity at Impact? Because every time we interview someone from the company, they always say, oh, we're like family. Oh, we take care of each other. We have each other's back. Everybody wants to see everybody do better. Is that the secret sauce that makes the Impact burger so delicious?
For me, I definitely think so. I've said it in the past, and one thing that I feel separates us is, when the show's done, when the taping's over, and we go back to the hotel, there'll be people hanging out in the lobby, and for the most part, almost each and every time, it's basically the whole locker room is in the same area hanging out. I feel that speaks more to what we're about than anything, from the stuff in the ring, whatever. But after the fact, we all like each other. We're all still hanging out. We all, like you said, we do all want to push each other. We know, and this goes back to, the locker room leader type of thing. We know that we can go to each other if we have a question or if we have a suggestion. There's no worry about stepping on toes or, walking on eggshells with us. No, we want to help each other so we can all get to that next level. And like you said, we're on that same page. So I think it really is that unity. Of course, I've been part of Impact for just about a decade, as you said, but I haven't been elsewhere recently. So I don't know how it is elsewhere. We all hear stories and tales and whatever. But, from my experience and speaking to people who have been elsewhere and who have come to Impact, I think that is really the secret sauce, the secret ingredient in Impact Wrestling, is that we do all strive for the same thing, and we do want each other to all succeed at once, to do it together.
Do you kind of recall the moment or the time frame, maybe, and maybe it happened more gradually, and you can speak to that as well, where you noticed that shift in not only the locker room unity, but also in you personally, in terms of people, how they viewed you as that locker room leader? Like, do you kind of recall that moment when it was like you went from the guy asking all the questions to now the guy being approached by everyone, being asked the questions? Do you feel like can you pinpoint a time frame when that sort of happened?
No specific moment really comes to mind for me, but it's always been, I feel like something that kind of gradually happens over time, whether it's, you get past the torch without knowing you got past the torch type thing, or you're in these conversations that somehow you never knew you'd be in. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of happens gradually over time. And of course, being a part of the company for so long, that adds to it as well. But I feel like, and I hopefully it's, the work that I've done inside and outside the ring as well. So I feel like I've always wanted to be, I remember getting asked this question maybe over 10 years ago. We're on like a panel, and somebody asked, what is one of my goals in pro wrestling? And one of my goals has always been to just have the respect of my coworkers and the people I work for and the people I work with. So I think that's always kind of driven me as far as trying to be somebody that wants to be a locker room leader. Now, I'm never going to call myself that. If people want to refer to that, that's great. That's what I want to be. I want to be somebody that the office and the roster can rely on. And that's just what I'm going to continue doing going forward.
Now, of course, you're a proud representative of Impact. This allows me to roll right into asking about this weekend. You're going to be in Philadelphia, August the 20th, representing Impact against New Japan, Multiverse United 2, live from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. You're teaming with Moose, and man, oh man, you guys are taking on TDMK, Zack Sabre Jr., Shane Haste. This matchup raises all kinds of questions as a fan, because you and Moose don't exactly have the best history with one another. How could you possibly hope to trust a guy like Moose, who he himself is a self-professed scumbag?
It's one of these things. Me and Moose, we were best friends for a long time. We were we were rolling deep for a while. Me and Moose, we were really good friends, best friends, I'd say. And pro wrestling does a certain thing to people. And I think the thing about us teaming is we both understand what we're getting into. We both know who the other one is. I know what to expect, what maybe not to expect of him, and I feel he feels the same way about me. So I think us going in there and just having the same understanding where we are representing Impact. We are Team Impact in this match. So we have that same goal to go out there and represent the company and show what we're capable of. And sometimes on bigger stages or certain matches or certain events, it's bigger than just us. And I feel that at some point, whether it's before the match starts or if it's during the match, it's gonna click for him and for me. Like, all right, let's just put whatever we have or don't have between each other, put that aside, and let's just handle business. And then after the fact, if we have something to discuss, we can discuss it, and then we handle it that way, and we just do what we're supposed to do and do our job out there.
I think all the little X factors that are involved in that matchup are worth the price alone to pay for that pay-per-view on Fight, which I will definitely be doing this Sunday for sure. And of course, that rolls us into late August. You guys are coming back to Toronto for Emergence Weekend. I haven't heard anything about what you're going to be doing yet, but I'm sure it's going to be thrilling for the fans. I have to ask because, of course, we are in Canada. How do you like coming up to Canada? I know you had a career highlight up here defending the GHC crown up here with Impact Wrestling during a run here. So, I mean, you must have some fond memories of working here in the Great White North.
Yeah, I really enjoy going to Canada. Of course, our fans up there, they're some of the best that we have. So when we made a return to Canada and, sold out crowd and they're going crazy, that's when, everything feels right at that time, at that moment. Last time I was in Toronto, people seemed to not really care for Boston for some reason, but this tends to happen anywhere I go now these days. I get the Boston sucks chance, and that's fine. I get it. I get it. Hate us because you ain't us type of thing. But I love going. I love going to Canada, and whether they're cheering me or booing me, it's always a good time for me.
Well, we'll have to wait and reserve judgment for August 27th weekend when you guys are there. I do want to ask about something a little personal before we kind of move on, and that's of course the attack last week on your wife by Frankie Kazarian. Although it was an accidental shot, I mean that was a pretty brutal hit. We want to ask for an update. How is Alicia doing? And just maybe if you could tell us like what it was like to go through that and witness something like that happen to your wife.
Yeah, I think you summed up the right way. An attack. It was an attack, whether it was accidental or not. It doesn't matter to me, and I know it doesn't matter to Lish at this point. Things happen, and this thing between me and Frankie has escalated, week after week, and at some point, maybe it's emergence, maybe it comes to an end, maybe it's all over at this point. But at some point, it needs to come to an end. As far as Liz, she is, I think everybody who knows her, she's a badass chick, and she's doing okay. She's recovering. She's not 100%, but she will be, and that's all that matters to us. But more so, we just want to get through this stuff with Frankie and Tracy. Everything that's come through this has gone the way that we didn't want it to go. It's supposed to be about me and Frankie settling our differences as far as how we treat each other, how we feel like the other one handles themselves in the locker room as we're speaking. I think it'll be handled between me and Frankie, but let's recover and then we'll finally be able to move on from them.
Well, we wish her the best and we hope that she gets better soon for sure. And of course, you and Frankie have been making some incredible memories with your matches over the last little while, as you have done with so many opponents over the last 10 years, and Impact itself doing a little bit of celebrating this year as well. The 1000 celebration coming up September the 9th. What does it mean to you as a guy once, heralded, as we talked about, as the heart and soul, to celebrate 1,000 episodes of Impact Wrestling? And, do you have a favorite moment over those last 1,000 episodes?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing to sit back and think 1,000 episodes. For so long, people thought and people maybe hoped or assumed that TNA or Impact was going to fold and it was going to be all over. It's happened so many times, more times than I can remember, that people thought that it was over. And the fact that we're at 1,000 shows the true heart and the true grit of this company from day one up until now. We've strived for better things. The company has fought through, unspeakable things that have happened. We've gotten through it and we've got to where we are. But it's happened for a reason, because Impact is a true company. We know what we're doing. It's for a reason. It's a reason that we're now a destination company where people want to come to Impact and work for Impact. So I think the fact that we're at 1,000 shows that not only we're doing the right thing, we're doing it in a great way, and people are finally respecting what has gone into it all. And the 1,000 episode says it all right there.
You have really done a lot within Impact over the last, 10 years. We kind of listed some of those highlights before. I mean, you've had the torch passed to you by Tommy Dreamer. We've talked about, winning the TNA World Cup of Wrestling, your huge victory in the best of 3 series against the Hardys and Team 3D, like Hall of Fame worthy credentials here for you. Do you have a few of them that kind of stick out as like, oh man, that was a really great moment? Or does that stuff kind of like just roll off your back and you're always looking, forward?
It doesn't roll off my back. Maybe when I feel like I've gotten to the point where, the older I get, I'm sure to kind of take in those moments for what they are. Like, you bring up the Hardys and Team 3D. There's a time that if you told me I would have been in the matches with those guys, I wouldn't have believed it. Go back to me when I'm, 14 years old or whatever, and tell me that's going to happen. I would never have believed it. So to find myself in those moments, I'm truly grateful, and it is pretty remarkable that it's gotten to that point. And Tommy Dreamer is one of my good friends at this point. Another thing that would blow my teenage mind. So I think there's a lot of things that we can definitely take for granted, but the older I get, I try not to. So I'm just grateful for all the moments that I do have. Winning the first, the world title, beating Bobby Lashley when nobody thought that was going to happen. I am lucky that I've had so many moments that get me like, is this really happening? You know what I mean? And I'm just looking forward to what that next moment will be. But I'm going to be sure to sit back and kind of take it and drink it in, and just really appreciate everything that I've been lucky enough to accomplish in my career.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us here today at Count It Out. We are ride or die with Impact, and you and Alicia are a big part of that. So, Eddie, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you on Sunday, in September, in August, in Emergence, and beyond. Keep carrying that torch, man, and we will continue to follow you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.